I asked a question while we were walking back up to the booth about kind of the barrier of language, especially marketing to an Asian audience, and kind of getting your opinion on that.
Right. So first of all, Friendster grew through September of 2007 only in English because we were only available in English. So a lot of the growth I just talked about is all in English language users, but a lot of them are in Asia. Since September, we've launched in 8 additional languages: Japanese, Korean, both Chinese languages, simplified and traditional, Taiwanese, Vietnamese, what else? I'm missing the list. Spanish, Malay, Indonesian. So quite a few Asian languages, and they're taking off. So more and more of our users register in those languages and are using the site in those languages. So that's all available in the developer program as well. So it's very important to think about how to work multiple languages into apps that take off around the world. English is a great starting point, but be thinking about how to leverage multiple languages.
Excellent, thanks. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and take a look at kind of a live demo back here at the conference booth to understand what exactly this whole application development environment looks like. All right, let's go ahead and get the demo started.
All right, so this is the apps on Friendster directory. These are all third-party developed apps. None of these are Friendster apps, and once your app has been briefly certified by us after you've developed it, it shows up here in the directory. These are the most popular apps in the last day, but you can see it by 7-day or 30-day views as well. And so Rocky's Emote application is #1. It's been #1 for a while. Texas Hold'em Poker is #2. That's been climbing the charts just in the last 30 days. Slide.com Slideshow is the 3rd most popular app. It's always been popular on Friendster and social networks. Slideshow.
Well, can you talk a little bit about what Slideshow is?
Yeah, basically lets you import several photos and basically build a slideshow of your photos with extra special effects, maybe adding music, and basically deciding how you want to present a slideshow that you then re-embed back into your profile page. So it's just a fancy way to kind of present photos to people that are looking at your profile.
Okay.
4th at the bottom, scrolling down here a little bit, iMeme is a way to add a song or playlist to your profile, which people love. And then several others here. Me's at the bottom is an avatar and game offering a 3D avatar with group chat capability. And then here, Userplane, owned by AOL, Userplane developed this group chat feature that's been very popular as well. So you can do games, avatars, TV shows, slideshows, videos, all sorts of things are now showing up on the site as part of the apps on Friendster.
Very cool. So do you have a kind of example of what the development environment would look like? So, I'm a student, I've read through your whole development platform, and then, I'm going to go to your development site, and kind of what are the first steps just to get started?
Sure, here's the developer site. It's at friendster.com/developer. There's an overview, there's all the information that we needed to get started with registration. All of the integration points with Friendster are listed here, of which there are about 8. I can go into some of those in a minute. The actual API specifications themselves with example code, error messages, all sorts of specifics. There's an API, there's a test tool, so you can actually test with your API key code that you do and see what the results are before you go live. So many resources here on this developer site.
So can you talk a little bit about how the whole platform works? Like you talk to a third-party server and how that whole infrastructure happens?
Yeah, you're actually building, instead of a website, on one of your servers or a server, hosted someplace, you're building an application that pings Friendster's APIs to retrieve information, start a session, authenticate a user, retrieve information, build the app that you want, and reinsert typically that application into a profile page. And so that's exactly what's going on. And you build the application that does that, but there's a server-side component that you run, and then there's the representation that ends up being on your profile page in a container, in a framed part of the profile page where you're actually rendering content on our site.
So in terms of stuff I need some sort of web server, right? And can I just use any random, like anything that would host a website would work for hosting an application?
Yes. I mean, think ahead if you're as successful as you want to be. Obviously, think ahead for how you can get that hosted in a scalable way. But many people use Amazon S3 or other ways to basically store data or host applications.
What do you mean provide that hosting in a scalable way?
Well, it's got to get started with a development environment, get this thing up and running, but think ahead about how if it's successful and you get millions of installs, that your application can scale and have performance, scalability, and reliability with Friendster's massive user base.
So if an application takes off, how quickly will its traffic grow, and kind of how does that present a problem for hosting?
It depends on the application on how quickly, but yeah, you could have hundreds of thousands of installs a day, best case scenario, and depending on the nature of the app, I don't know how many transactions per second that might generate, or how much load that might place on your application server and your infrastructure, but be ready to replicate and to scale that if you're successful, because the last thing you want is for something to take off but then have performance problems and people give up and go away.
Yeah. Okay. Was there anything else you want to show me with the development platform?
Yeah, so there's one thing I just wanted to highlight, the integration points. There's the directory we just showed you. There's a page where you add an app. That's where the user actually adds the app into their Friendster page. There's the install page where you get to present in an iframe all the configuration information that someone might need to configure an app or to get started. The app ends up being on the user profile, the fourth thing in this list. There's an app canvas page, so if your app is a game or something where you need a lot of real estate to present information to the user, or the details to the user, use the canvas page for that. Every time an app is added or if a notification is made, that event goes into what we call the tracker. This is the network activity of all of what you're doing and what your friends are doing. It precedes Facebook's news feed. We've had it a year or so before Facebook did, but that tracker, that network activity, is a great way to see what other people are doing, and you want app events to basically be in the tracker. And then finally, pending app invitations and pending app notifications, we built into the site. If a friend of yours recommends an app to you, this is a compilation of all of what your friends have added recently, so that you can basically explore, try new apps, and use the same apps that your friends are using. And then finally, pending app notifications is where you as a developer can send a message to a user of your app periodically, or when a certain event happens, so that you can bring them back to the app. So for example, if you're playing a game, Scrabble or Risk or something like that, or poker, if it's your turn, you can use the notifications to basically get someone that you're playing with to come back and engage with the app. So those are the core integration points. This is why a developer program is not easy to build, because it's not just APIs getting and retrieving data. You have to, we've had to completely work this concept into the user experience on Friendster, and it touches a lot of different points of the site.
All right, very cool. Any closing points?
Check it out, friendster.com/developer. A lot of info is there, and there's a group that you can join and ask questions of other developers that are doing the same thing that you are. It's a Friendster developer platform group, and we also have email technical support if you get stuck and have questions.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.